afternoon, everyone. Welcome to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center. How's everyone doing today? Great, awesome. I hope that everyone is doing great because we have a very special event today. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Genara Jusuf, or you can call me Ara, and I will be the MC for today's Meet the U.S. Embassy session. Now, for those of you new here and for those of you who don't already know what At America is, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for Indonesians to learn more about the United States through our events, programs, and also the facilities that we provide here. And in today's Meet the U.S. Embassy session, we will be discussing all about the strategic partnership between our two great countries, Indonesia and the United States, and how we can further strengthen our relationship between our two great nations. And also, we will be discussing how we can achieve our shared goals for the future. And to discuss all those important points, we are already joined today by our brilliant speaker and also moderator. And before inviting them onto the stage, allow me to give a little introduction about our speaker and moderator. First, we've got our brilliant speaker that will be sharing to us about everything that we need to know about the US Embassy, and also about the relationship between the US and Indonesia and in general. And our speaker for today is the political counselor of the US Embassy Jakarta, Bapak Kyle Richardson. And next, we also got our lovely moderator that will lead and also navigate today's discussion. She is the public engagement assistant of the US Embassy Jakarta, Bu Jamie Edelbrock. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kyle Richardson and Jamie Edelbrock.
How is everyone today? Yeah, we're so excited to be here. Like she said, my name is Jamie. I work at the U.S. Embassy in Public Affairs, and this is my friend and colleague, Kyle Richardson. He works in political. I'm just going to let him get started, let him tell a little bit about himself. So, Kyle, tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Selamat sore, Anda semua. Selamat datang ke At America. Selamat siang, yeah. As Jamie mentioned, I'm Kyle Richardson. I'm the political counselor here at the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. I've been here, posted to Indonesia for 2 years. This is my 6th assignment in the Foreign Service, the 6th overseas assignment. And I've served in a number of amazing countries, including Mexico, Egypt, Colombia, and Brazil. And it's been a fantastic career that I've had over the last 20 years, visiting amazing places, meeting amazing people. And so I'm really looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have today with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks for telling us a little bit about yourself. You have such an interesting life, and we can't wait to hear more about it. But before we get started, I think it might be a good idea to do a poll and some quizzes to see what you guys know about our partnership. And should we get started?
Yes. So, everyone, to warm up the audience for today, we have a little poll and quiz. So, can I have everyone take out their gadgets and scan the QR code on the screen? Okay. Or you guys can also simply visit the website menti.com and also enter the code 42454754. Okay, we've already got several people entering.
I'm excited to see what
Yeah.
you guys want to know and what you guys do know.
Yeah, we're still waiting for people coming into the quiz. Okay. Okay, first we have a poll, and you guys can choose the most important topic for you. So we've got several options below.
Climate change, that's the first one. Good topic. Wow, you guys are see. Peace and security, that's huge. Absolutely. Human rights?
No bad choices.
No, absolutely not. These are all very, very, very important topics. Yeah, human rights. Is it a tie? Oh, almost. It's like a race. Peace and security and human rights, absolutely important. Yeah, it's almost a tie.
Okay, so I guess most of the votes go to human rights.
I think that's a very important topic.
Yep.
One
Yep.
for me, absolutely. What do you think?
No, absolutely, and something that we work very closely on with our partners here in Indonesia, and an issue that we work on around the world. Something
Absolutely.
I've been involved with in many places.
Okay, let's move on to the next quiz. Okay, let's scan the barcode again, guys.
So fun watching all the thumbs up. I know.
Okay, we have a question here. Which countries are the largest democracies in the world? Is it A, India, US, Indonesia, B, Australia, India, US, or C, Brazil, US, and Indonesia?
I hear some chatter. I think it's okay to talk and discuss it with your friends. You don't have to be so quiet.
Okay, let's see the correct answer to the question. And the correct answer is A. India is
Good
the
job, guys.
largest
Good
democracy,
job.
followed by the United States, and followed again by Indonesia.
And I think because we are the United States and Indonesia are some of the largest democracies, we share a lot of the same values.
No, we absolutely do. I think that's one of the foundation of our strategic partnership and why we have such a strong bilateral relationship with Indonesia, because we are vibrant, large, multi-ethnic, diverse democracies,
We can
and
relate to each other.
we relate to each
Mhm.
other very well, and we understand each other a great deal.
Great. Okay, let's see our next quiz. Okay, which amendment is in the US Constitution guarantees the freedom of religion, assembly, and speech? Is it First Amendment, 15th Amendment, 9th Amendment, or 26th Amendment? Let's see if you guys get it right. And the correct answer is A, the First Amendment.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm very impressed that you know our
Wow.
Constitution so well.
That
Congratulations.
was great.
You
That
guys
was
did your
great.
research well. Okay, let's see our next quiz. Okay, let's scan the QR code again. All right, let's see our question. How many Indonesians are currently studying in the United States?
This is a great question. I'm excited to see how many people actually know it.
All right, let's see our answer. Correct answer is B, 8,000.
8,000. Good job. Did anyone guess 8,000?
I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. We have so many different programs where you guys can come study in the U.S. So if you guys want any more information about that, please talk to us after the show, or people in Out America can give you great information about that too.
Yes.
But we're so excited to have students. In
Yeah,
the US.
and for those of you who voted for 230,000, that is our goal. And someday we will get there.
Dreamers, I like it.
All
But it's going to
right.
require you all to study really hard.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's see. We still have another quiz.
Sorry to start off the event with a pop quiz. You guys didn't know you'd be taking a test today, right?
Okay, let's move on to our next question. All right, please scan the QR code again, everyone.
Technology is amazing, right? That we can all kind of connect and do these quizzes like this. That's pretty cool.
I
Okay,
assume this is how
let's.
tests are done at university.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see our question. How long have the United States and Indonesia been partners? Is it A, 57 years, B, 32 years, C, 74 years, or D, 65 years? So, how long have we been partners? These two great nations. Don't worry, guys, this is not an exam, so you don't have to be nervous.
No one's
We're
gonna
just doing this
fail.
for fun as a warm up for today's discussion.
Everyone take a deep breath.
Okay, take a deep breath, yeah. Okay, it seems like everyone's so nervous answering,
know,
right?
I know.
Okay, let's see the answer. Okay, it's C, 74 years.
Isn't that amazing?
So it's been quite a very long time, yeah, Bu Jamie?
Yeah, and I know next year there's a lot of fun things in
Mhm.
store to celebrate the 75th anniversary of our great partnership.
Mhm.
And there's also a space in the embassy called My America Jakarta. Yeah,
Yes.
Madge. And you can go there and learn all about our partnership. So
Right.
if you want any more information about that, please let us know. We've had almost 75 years of a great relationship.
Right. Thank you so much, Bu Jamie, for the information. So, guys, let's move on to our next quiz. You might have to scan again. Scan the barcode again, guys. Okay, we've already got several people coming in. So, are we ready to answer? Okay, let's go. Our next question is, how many visas did the US Embassy issue to Indonesians in 2022?
That's a good question.
Is it A, 2,100, B, 38,000, C, 9,000, or D, 5 million? Let's see. The correct answer is it's C, 90,000 visas were issued to
Wow.
Indonesians.
90,000.
Yeah, that was a record
Yeah.
for Indonesians getting visas to
Mhm.
travel the United States, which is great.
And it has increased 20% from pre-pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone
Pretty
wants to go to
amazing.
the US here?
We'd love for you to visit. Travel,
Let's go.
study, work, absolutely.
Okay, let's see our next question. This year, the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta just launched the first American space located in the mosque. And where is it located?
This is an exciting question
Mhm.
because it's brand new.
Yeah. I heard people saying Istiklal. All right. Okay, that's a lot of answers on B. Okay, let's see the correct answer. And the correct answer is Masjid Istiqlal in partnership with Voice of Istiqlal.
Yeah, that's really exciting. That just happened. I actually haven't been able to see the space yet, but I cannot wait to see it. But Kyle, you've been there.
I have been there. It's a fabulous space located on the first level of the the Istiklal Mosque complex, and highly encourage anyone if you're visiting the mosque to stop by and visit the American Corner. It's a
Yep.
really nice
Right.
space.
So that wraps up our quiz for today. And now I'll be giving the floor again to Bu Jamie and Pak Kyle.
Great, great. Well, it's so. Thank you, thank you, and thank you to Kyle. I'm so excited to learn more about you and have you share your story with us. So I do have a few questions to ask you. The first one is, what inspired you, or who inspired you to become a diplomat?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think it gets back to how I certainly first learned about this career and what attracted me to it. Like most of our audience here at America today, I was an international relations student in the United States, and I really liked international relations, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after I graduated. And so, between my third and fourth year of university, I applied for an internship with the Department of State, and I was posted at our embassy in Quito, Ecuador, for 3 months or so, and I had a really fabulous experience with the Foreign Service officers who mentored me at that time, and I got to do a lot of amazing things during those few months, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. About
Yeah.
what you get to do as a diplomat, but I had such an amazing experience that I thought, well, if I got to do this as an intern, imagine what I would get to do if I actually joined and was a full-time diplomat. And so that inspired me to look into the State Department as a career. And after I graduated from university, I took the exam and joined.
And that's how, wow. Yeah, that's amazing, right? Inspirational. So, how did you? But you took the exam. What other steps did you have to take to become one? What did you have to study? Was there something specific?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's amazing about the diplomatic service of the United States is that you don't have to have studied any specific thing. That we have people from all walks of life, all backgrounds. We have people like me who studied international relations at university, but we also have diplomats who studied law, who served in the military, who did any number of things, anything you could think about in life. They did it, and the idea is that we have a diverse group of people representing us abroad, that then brings a diversity of experience to how we look at the world, how we think about international relations and our relations, for example, with Indonesia. And that's helpful, right? Because if we all have the same exact background, we're going to have sort of the same
Right.
perspective on things. So better to have sort of a larger perspective. Um, for me, 20 years ago, the foreign service test was sort of a two-part thing. You had to take a written test. It was sort of a multiple choice test with some written essays, and it was offered once a year. And anyone in the United States who wanted to apply could do it. And you signed up, and then you took the exam, and then they sent you the results. I will confess, I did not pass the first time I took it, which is fairly normal for our exam because it can be challenging. But I wasn't discouraged. I took it again. I passed, and then I went to the second part of the exam, which is what they call an oral exam, where with a group of other prospective diplomats, they have you do group problem-solving exercises. They interview you. They have you write some more essays, and then based on that, you get a score. And if your score is high enough, then they ask you to join the foreign service. So
Wow, I bet that was a pretty cool feeling to know, hey, I did this.
I mean, once you clear all those steps,
Yeah,
because it
it's
is
a
a
lot.
process, you do feel very good.
Yeah. Awesome. So now that you are a diplomat and you have been for a while, you've traveled the world. what is your day like working as a diplomat?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. The way I think about it when people ask me, "What do you do?" And I get this a lot, even from my own family, right? My my parents, "What do you do?" I try to think of it are divided up into sort of four different things, right? So the main thing that we do as diplomats is we interact with the host government. That's usually with Kemlu, the foreign ministry here in Indonesia, but we also interact with other ministries as well. And what is it that we're interacting about? Well, we're interacting about our bilateral relationship, and we are the channel through which the State Department in Washington sends official communications to the government of Indonesia. So, for example, if we are asking Indonesia to vote with us at the United Nations or asking about their position on a particular issue going around the world, that's the political section at the embassy's responsibility generally to go and ask those questions and then to come back and write a response. The second thing that we do is support the U.S. government visitors that come to Indonesia. So last year, when Indonesia was president of the G20, we had 28 high level, or I'm talking about cabinet level or president level visits to Indonesia. And so the embassy was responsible for organizing all of that, from the logistics of them arriving to their hotels to the meetings and what they should say in the meetings. We were involved in all of that. The third thing, and I think the thing that maybe is the most fun, is building relationships with people in the host country, right? So we interact a lot, of course, with people in the government, but we also interact with Indonesians or wherever you might be stationed from all walks of life. So it could be students like yourselves, university professors, journalists, members of parliament, you name it. We are interested in meeting those people, and we meet for two reasons. One, because we want to understand uh, better the country where we're living and working, right? We can't understand it if we're just reading the news. We need to go talk to people and have them explain it to us. But we also, it's a two-way conversation, so we also try to explain what the United States is all about. And that's why we do events like we're doing here on stage, where we get to explain a little bit to you all what the United States is like so that you have a better understanding of us. And then the fourth thing is, based on a lot of those conversations, we write a lot of analytical reports back to Washington's, and that's usually just to capture what it is that is going on, what we've learned, to try to inform our policymakers back in Washington, their understanding of what's happening in Indonesia or whatever country it might be, so that they can make better decisions about how we interact with that country.
Wow, that's inspirational. And you certainly have a special and exciting life, which I know all of these students would probably like to be a part of. So tell us, what's one piece of advice you would give to these students?
Oh, I think, I mean, study hard. If you have an opportunity to study abroad, we talked a little bit about, studying in the United States, but it doesn't have to be in the United States. It can be just anywhere. I mean, I think getting that breadth of perspective as an international relations student or someone maybe interested in international affairs is really important. I will say I was so interested in international issues when I was in school, but I don't think I really understood it until I went and studied abroad outside my own country and got a different perspective. And that's when I really fell in love with this whole idea of working in other countries and sort of building those bridges of understanding between peoples.
I think having that perspective helps us understand people more. And there's a saying, maybe from Dr. Seuss, I don't know, but the more you know, the more you grow. And that's what that reminds me of. And so to study hard and travel and see the world, because the more you know, the more you grow, and the more you can build these partnerships and relationships. That's great. So now that we know a little bit more about you and what you do, I would love to hear from the audience. If you guys have any questions for Kyle. There's already so many. We'll go with you. Oh, we have a yeah.
So hi, I'm Yesi from Universitas Kristen Indonesia. So I have a question. As a diplomat in an open source era, how much do you still believe in quiet diplomacy? And also, what are the most interesting experiences that you had as a diplomat? Because I know that there are things that we don't know about in the public. Like, for example, personally, I'm really curious what happened. What did the USG did? For example, with the Hunan Island incident that got the P8 crew released. What happened behind the curtain? If that information could be declassified for us. Thank you in advance.
Yeah. With respect to the open source issue, I think that's an excellent question. Um, Open source is one area of information, right? So every day, we have a section at the embassy that handles press issues, uh, and we read the newspapers every day, right? We look to see what other people have acquired as information and put out into the public space. And we then ask ourselves, does that information that we're reading today, does that make sense to us? Or is there something about it that maybe we want to understand better? And I often say that our job is very much like being a journalist in the sense that what you're doing is trying to find out more information, right? Now, if all I did at work was copy and paste newspaper articles and send them to Washington, I think you're right. I probably don't need to be here. So where is the value added? The value here is those relationships that we're developing with other people, with Indonesians, where we could go and ask them, uh, what is your perspective on this article we may have read in Kompas today? Do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that? And if you talk to a number of people and you get different sources of information, and then you make up your own mind, you make your own judgment about whatever the issue might be, and then you send your analytical report. So for me, open source is just one part of the job, but it doesn't, I don't think, displace us as diplomats and the value that we have here in the country. And I also think, um, if you wanted to just run your diplomacy by reading foreign newspapers from Washington and then interact that way, you would miss out on so much understanding, right? I I wouldn't understand Indonesia if I didn't live here. I mean, if I tried to understand it just by reading your newspapers from Washington, I don't think I would be very good, at diplomat. Um, and so I think that's my answer to that. As it relates to some of the more interesting things that have happened, I mean, I have I guess I have lots of stories of little things that have happened. There's always interesting things that happen when you're hosting VIP visitors. In terms of getting those events ready. Um, but I don't have nothing like is coming to my mind specifically as a story. But I think maybe I'll leave it there. I mean, with respect to your last issue, I don't really have any comment on that particular incident of our relations. I don't really know much about it. I'm sorry.
And that's okay. We can go to the next question. Yeah. She might need a microphone. Yeah.
Test, test.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I have the questions, but before going further, maybe it's good to give some context. So I was really interested for international relations, international affairs issues, and I was in elementary school. Due to Palestinians and Israel issues, it was really booming in there. But then in high school, I go to natural science field, but then I go back to international relations in Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta. Just graduated 2 years ago. So the thing that I want to ask is, I have a dream, and I was majoring in global political and security studies. So international security studies is my major before. And the thing that I want to ask is, everybody has their own purpose. I would like to know two things. The first, what is your biggest purpose being a diplomat? Second one, what is the most reachable and the most important values that you want to hold, that you want to share to all over the world as you as a diplomat from United States of America? I think that's two things. Purposeful and then the greatest values. There are two things I want to ask, to
thank you. Could you repeat your first question?
Oh, the first one that I asked is, what is your biggest motivation? What is your biggest purpose being a diplomat? And second one is the biggest values that suit you and then you choose to be a diplomat of US.
So
Thank you.
motivation and purpose.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. I mean, I think what motivates me is trying to make a difference in the world, trying to make a positive impact in people's lives. And I feel like I've done that in different ways, in different assignments. Not every assignment is the same in terms of what things you focus on and what you do. Here in Indonesia, our big focus has been looking for ways to expand, deepen our strategic partnership, and finding ways that we can expand our ties. In other countries, the focus has been on um, uh, democratic values, on human rights issues, on that kind of thing. Um, in terms of the values that we have, I think as American diplomats, I mean, I think it's ones that are shared here in Indonesia. Um, Freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom to um, get together and share ideas. And I think those ideas are fairly universal, that people around the world strive for those things. And I think when we represent ourselves to other countries, those are the things that we advocate for.
Yeah, I love that. And working together is how the world becomes a better place. Absolutely, I love those. Yeah. Okay, who's next? Yeah, in the red. Sure. Oh, he's gonna bring you a microphone. Yeah, there you go.
We are glad that now Mr. Anthony Blinken pay visit to China. But as long as I know, there is a word that to make a relationship with China, it must be based on one China policy, be to Beijing or to Taiwan. So my question is, do you have to what is really diplomatic relation to Beijing and to Taiwan? That's all my question.
No, it's a good question. I think that, I mean, the one China policy has been the cornerstone of our relationship with the People's Republic of China uh, since the 1970s, and there has been no change in that. Our official relationship is with the People's Republic of China, but we also have um, relations with Taiwan as well. But we recognize them as being two parts of the same country.
Okay, next question. Yeah.
So hello, my name is Jessica. I'm from Presi University. Now I'm majoring in international relations, specializing in defense and security. And then my question is, how does the embassy assist in promoting educational opportunities, and what are the challenge for students from Indonesia who are interested in studying in the United States? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. We have quite a few programs, I think, available for Indonesians who are interested in studying in the United States. I would recommend looking at our website, where they're all listed out here. You can also come here to the Ad America Center, which is another great resource in terms of talking with people about what opportunities may be available in terms of scholarships, or even without scholarships, if you're just interested in studying there, what the process is. The challenges are going to be the same for studying anywhere, right? You're going to have to show that you have a good enough command of English language, that you have the right test scores and what have you to be admitted into University of the United States. But as our poll showed, 8,000 students are going every year. to the United States. That number continues to climb slowly. Again, our goal is 230,000. If we could maybe get there, but that's, uh, but it's something that we encourage a great deal. It's a point of pride, I think, for us that so many Indonesians want to study in the United States. And like I mentioned earlier, one of my formative experiences as a student was studying outside the United States, because I learned so much from that experience, and it really made me want to do this diplomatic career. Um, so I very much encourage you, if that is of interest to you, to pursue it. And there's a lot of resources out there to find the right way.
And oftentimes I find like the hardest part is the first step. Is just taking that first step and figuring out what you need to do. So yeah, absolutely like Kyle said, please, we encourage you, go to our website, talk to people, get over that little hump of wondering and just dive in because yeah, we would love to have you there. Next question? Yeah, you? Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you. So my name is Aski from President University. I also majored in international relations. Um, Unfortunately, I'm still in my first year, so I don't have any broad like general I only have like a general knowledge of the world of international relations. But I would like to ask a question to His Excellency, and that is about the sustainable development, specifically about the goals that are to be reached in 2030. So I recently read a news that, unfortunately speaking, the goals themselves cannot be reached by the year 2030, and that world leaders themselves are discussing an opportunity to discuss the good governance and the financing opportunities of how can this goal be executed as efficiently as effectively as possible. Now, the question here is that um, how can the United States and Indonesia contribute or work together to reach this sustainable development goal specifically, and can it be a fruitful outcome in the future? Thank you. There's my question.
Oh, that's an excellent question, and I think fortunately, there's a lot of good answers to it. Um, I will say that the United States and Indonesia have a very strong partnership in the area of development. Our United States Agency for International Development has been working here in Indonesia, or with Indonesia, I should say, since the 1960s, um, and has a very robust program focused on a number of different issues, from environment to the economy to climate change and other issues. Um, we also have just launched in the last year the Just Energy Transition Partnership, which is focused on transitioning Indonesian economy to more renewable energy sources to combat climate change. And then we also have just announced a second compact with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, which worked here in Indonesia for several years on sustainable development goals. And after the first compact was completed, they left, but they saw the value in returning to Indonesia. And so a new MCC compact was just signed a few months ago, and the corporation will be returning to Indonesia to work again on more sustainable development issues. And so it's something that I think, take a lot of pride in, and is really a cornerstone of our strategic partnership. I mean, we work a lot, and the United States has devoted a lot of resources to making those sustainable development goals possible.
Great. We actually have a question from someone online. This is Marissa from Instagram. And she says Indonesia is currently facing a potential demographic dividend, meaning there will be rapid urbanization, can't say that word, which leads to more investment in physical as well as human infrastructure. Based on your simple calculation and extensive experience, what are some of the key leadership skills for us, the next generation of Indonesian leaders, and what do we need to prepare to bring to the table, and how can these skills be leveraged for the nation's collective success?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very interesting point. I learned. I mean, this is something again that you could only learn, I think, by coming to Indonesia. That 50% of Indonesia's population is 30 years or younger. That's an amazing statistic,
Absolutely.
and much different than the demographic trends in the United States and a number of other countries. So it is true. You have a lot of potential here, especially with such a young and dynamic population as we see here before us at the today. I think in terms of the skills that you'll need, I think it's going to come down to a familiarity with technology, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm that old, but I still feel like I don't really understand a lot of the technology that started to dominate our world these days. In particular, at my office, we've been talking about Chat GPT and artificial intelligence, and how does that work, and how can we use that, or should we be using that in our work? Those are the kinds of things that you all, as young people, will be, I think, much better prepared to tackle, to understand, to utilize, and to the extent that you are experts in those things and come to a job prepared to use your expertise to advance the agenda of the agency or the business that you're working with, I think that will help you get ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay current. Absolutely. Okay, someone from the audience? Yeah, he's right up here. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Noah Matantia. I'm from Presiden University as well, majoring in international relations. I have maybe some question regarding the U.S.-Indonesia cooperation. As you can see, U.S. and Indonesia has been in cooperation for the last 74 years. It includes in many sectors as well, including the military sector. In your opinion, what is the future cooperation in the military sector for between Indonesia and the U.S.? I think that is my question. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. I think we're really proud of the relationship that we have in the military and defense sector with Indonesia. We our cooperation is very robust. Um, the number of Indonesian military officers that have the opportunity to study in the United States is very high. Um, we do a number of joint exercises. I don't know if you all have heard of the Garuda Shield exercise, or as it's known now, the Super Garuda Shield exercise. But last year, Indonesia hosted that military exercise in Sumatra. This year, I think it will be in Java. But the idea is that a lot of different countries are coming to participate to learn how to work together, and that is, I think, an amazing fact that Indonesia is the one hosting that event. With so many countries participating, including the United States, Japan, Australia, other countries. It's, I think, a sign of how strong our military cooperation is, and I think it's only going to get stronger in the years ahead.
Okay, and I've been talking to everybody over here. I don't want to miss anyone over here. Does anyone over here have a question? Way up there?
Oh, hey. Hello. My name is Arshad. I just actually got accepted for university, so I'll be freshman this year, majoring in international relations. So maybe
Congratulations.
I will take it. I will take this session as my first class. So since I just becoming a freshman, so I have nothing to know a lot about international relations. But um, as you as you as a diplomat and also as a international relations student, what's your advice for me and for other students uh, to as a student and also the future diplomat to make a strong relationship between Indonesia and US, and also since Indonesia is part of ASEAN, which is has a big opportunity in international stage, what are advice and what are hope, both as both personally and also as US ambassador. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. And I mean, in terms of advice for you as an international relations student, um, I think you have to pursue your passion. If there's a particular country or region of the world that gets you excited in terms of wanting to read more about the history and what's going on there, wanting to visit, then focus on that and pursue that and become an expert maybe in that thing. But also don't forget that the world's a big place, and you should be, especially if you want to be a diplomat, you should know something about everywhere, all the regions of the world, because that will be to your credit going forward. Um, you mentioned ASEAN, and I think it's a really opportune moment to be having this conversation because, of course, Indonesia this year is the chair of ASEAN and is about to host in a couple weeks a series of meetings involving foreign ministers from all the countries in the ASEAN Regional Forum, and that's going to be a very exciting week for us at the U.S. Embassy and for all the other embassies in town, and also for the government of Indonesia. So we're really excited to be able to participate in that, and it should be a great event.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. Anybody else? Sure.
Okay. I'm Muhammad Yofiar Aufa. You can call me Yofiar from President University majoring in international relations. My questions might seem a little personal compared to the previous questions. So my question is: previously, you have said that in you're in university, you interning at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the United States, right? And you were first assigned to Ecuador, where you eventually found joy in being a diplomat. My question is that, um, where exactly did you find joy, and how did you adjust being a diplomat? Because while going abroad and visiting new place might seem as an exciting opportunities, but we all know as humans, we all know the concept of comfort zone, and sometimes it is hard to leave that comfort zone, especially when you are demanded to immediately adapt. My question is, how did you deal with that situation as a human and both as a diplomat? Thank you.
That's a good question.
I think that's an excellent question, and I mean, it brings back a lot of memories, honestly, for me, because I will tell you, I'm originally from the state of Iowa in the United States, and I grew up in the same town. Through high school. It was only when I went to university that I left that town and left my family and my friends, and had to start adapting. And so I got into a new comfort zone at university, but I was sort of resistant in university to the idea of studying abroad, and it was really my parents that said, "Hey, you really need to go do this. This is something that's important." And they sort of pushed me to do it, and then I did it, and I was like, "Okay, I really like this," and so I developed a new comfort zone of, "Hey, I like going overseas and doing this," but I was still maybe a little afraid to speak a foreign language, and so then you have to go to another place and you have to get comfortable maybe doing that, and so you sort of get more comfortable little by little. It's hard, I think, to go from maybe being in the same environment your whole life and then all of a sudden be dropped into a new environment and told, "Hey, you're gonna live here now for 3 years and get used to it and figure it out." That is challenging. I think uh, how you end up adapting in foreign environments is it's a skill that you have to learn. Some of it is finding the things in that country that are familiar to you, or making local friends so that they can show you around and what about their country is unique and interesting that you should appreciate and like. And once you sort of get that feel for things, and things aren't sort of scary anymore or intimidating, you start to adapt, I think, a little bit better and a little bit faster. And so now, after having done this for 20 years, and living in so many different places, it's a little bit easier, I think, for me. But that's not to say that it isn't without challenges every time. And I think, in particular, it can be challenging, as a diplomat, when you have family, because maybe your spouse and your kids, they also have to go through that same process too, where they're going to a new country, then all of a sudden you're asking them to make new friends, and start at a new school and find a new job and all of that. So there's some difficult parts about being a diplomat. There's a lot of great parts, but there are some challenges as well. And I think you identified one of them, which is um, you know how you adapt to a changing environment.
Yeah, that was a really, really great question. That's something I think we all deal with. I think we have time for one more question. Yeah, one more question. I know you wanted to ask one earlier. Yeah, you would ask.
Okay, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm Juan. I graduated from Universitas Indonesia, and in here I would like to ask you about digital diplomacy. Like using technology, information, internet, social media for diplomatic purposes or to achieve diplomatic objectives. I would like to ask you about how important it is to use technology and information to build diplomatic relationship with another country. In this context, maybe you can explain diplomatic relationship between U.S. and Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. That is an excellent question. I think technology is critical to developing a robust diplomatic relationship. Not so much necessarily with the government, because of course we can just sort of call each other and email and um, go over and visit our offices. But in a country like Indonesia, with 17,000 islands, 280 million people, uh, very difficult for even an embassy as large as ours to interact as much as we would like to with all the different people that might want to engage with us. And so that's why we try to utilize to the best of our ability the technologies available to get our message out. So we have this beautiful Ad America Center here in Jakarta. This is a very unique place, one of a kind in the world. And this session that we're doing right now is being broadcast all over Indonesia, so anyone can join and get a sense of what it's like to be an American diplomat. We engage very robustly on social media, um, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, our website. We try to be present on social media, try to inform people what we're doing, what events we're doing, and try to get interactions as best we can. But sometimes technology isn't the substitute for the in-person event,
It's
right?
true.
I mean, again, I could maybe do this at home with you all, virtually over Zoom or something, but it sort of misses an element of diplomacy, which is to come meet people in person. And so there really is no substitute, I think, for being able to go out, meet people in person, and talk as real people do. Um, but as I mentioned, it's tough. It's tough to engage with everybody in a country as big and diverse as Indonesia is.
And I think we saw some of that during COVID, how the technology can bring us all together, but there's also no replacing the in person. And I was just told that we have a lot more time, so we have a lot of time for more questions. But since we were just talking about online and technology, I'm going to go to online and we're going to ask a question from there. This is from Anthony from Instagram again, and this is a question I think that we've kind of already touched on, but I think we can dive a little bit deeper. What challenges do you think, besides comfort zone, do diplomats face today?
Yeah, I think some of the challenges have been identified already by members of the audience, and they're very good questions. I think there's the challenge of uh, you know being outside your comfort zone, being in a place maybe that's challenging. Um, I've been in different places that have different challenges from maybe a security perspective or language perspective in terms of how difficult the language might be to interact with people. Um, another challenge I think that we have is was alluded to in I think our first question about open source. There's a lot of information out there, and your role as a diplomat isn't always obvious to people. What is it the value that you're bringing to this? I mean, I could just do this from my home. I don't need you. I read the newspapers, and so the challenge is, what value am I adding? What am I doing to help? Um, I think another challenge can be in terms of the technology that we're talking about. Um, when I started my career, there was no such thing as WhatsApp, right? Like that didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist. None of that existed. And so it was a little bit easier to be a diplomat in the sense that you sort of did your thing, you went home, and there wasn't anything happening after you got home. I would say now with the technology that we have, I get messages pretty much 24 hours a day.
Doesn't stop.
It doesn't really stop. Especially with the time difference between Jakarta and Washington. As soon as I get home, Washington comes to work. They start to message. With WhatsApp, people can sort of communicate in real time all the time, and so it becomes a challenge in the sense that you're always trying to communicate with people, but then you sort of need to make the time to have that personal interaction, and you need to put the phone down, and then you need to sort of engage with whoever you're trying to engage with in that moment, and that I think is a big challenge now in the 21st century of where we are as diplomats.
And also work-life balance, the importance of that. Yeah, that's a big challenge as well. Any other questions out here in the audience? Want to go to this side again? Yeah, right here.
All right. It's a very fantastic and amazing day to come here and have a dialogue with Mr. Kylie as a diplomat. So this is just a general question from me. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Nadisha. I'm a Timorese, but I have an opportunity to study here with my fellows in Indonesia. So my question is, since as you said, nowadays the technology is really advanced, where people are easily to collect information, how to absorb information easily through social media and various sources. Therefore, I'm curious, I wanna ask for your opinion. How do you collect information to be a critical person and especially preparing ourselves, most of us here, to be great diplomat in the future? Thank you.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, no, that is an excellent question, because I think one of the issues, one of the challenges that we all face, not just diplomats but everybody, right, is misinformation, and especially misinformation on social media. And it is an excellent question of how do you know which information is real and which information um, is probably should be discounted. And I think that the best way to do that is you have to establish in your own mind who I trust for information. Um, is the news source that I'm getting this from, is it credible? Uh, and if you've established that, that's a good starting point. Now, that's not to say that everything that's maybe coming from that newspaper or person is 100% true, but it's a good starting point. And I think you should always, especially when you see something that's sort of new, right? Like you're like, wow, I've never seen that before. Ask yourself, is that really true? And maybe you want to like ask other people or look for other sources to confirm whether it is. Um, because sometimes it's just, maybe it is misinformation, or somebody misunderstood something and wrote an article or made a tweet that was incorrect. And so you have to, I think, always be being critical and thinking about the information and deciding whether it fits in with all the other pieces of information that you already know. And if it doesn't, um, confirming whether that in fact then is like a new thing. And if not, then you discount it. But if it is true, then you have to adjust sort of your perception of maybe the issue at hand. So I think that's the best answer I can give you, which is, you know, decide which is the most credible sources of information, and then from that, you know, seek out other sources.
Yeah, I always find if something seems questionable or I'm wondering about it, to ask questions and to research. Keep researching. Keep digging.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, the thing is, it doesn't matter like how good of that you are, that you always are tempted, right?
Yeah.
Because you see it all the time. You pull up a website or something, and then they have those little articles, and there'll be like some photo, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that looks interesting, and you like really want to click on it, and you really want it to be true, but you're like, no, I don't think that's just somebody like made that up. They photoshopped that. That's not true. They just want me to click on the article so that they get credit for
Yep.
me clicking, but that's not really something I should be wasting my time
Right.
doing.
Right. Keep learning, keep researching. Okay, another question? Sure.
Hi. Hello. I'm Claudia. I work in healthcare. Actually, I'm sorry that I wasn't here early enough to listen to your speech, but I have a question regarding healthcare in the US. I hear from social media and the media in general that healthcare services in the US is extremely expensive. It's impossible for a lot of people, your people. But on the other hand, US is very generous to other countries such as Indonesia with US aids and every other aids that you have. So sometimes in social media regarding that as well, we can see comments from Americans. They say, hey, that's our taxpayers' money. You are giving our taxpayers' money to other countries, to other people, while some of our own people are not able to afford healthcare in our own country. I know that it has a lot of relations with diplomatic relations from countries, but how do you prioritize that, and how do you respond to such comments from Americans? Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question, and you're right. I think health is an area where the United States and Indonesia have had a long history of cooperation, but after the pandemic began, and for the last few years, that health cooperation really intensified. And the United States was a very large donor of COVID vaccines to Indonesia, and we were very proud of being able to do that and to be helpful. Um, you know, you've identified a substantial debate that's going on within the United States about foreign assistance, but I don't think it's a debate unique to the United States. It's a debate that every country has about whether a government should prioritize helping maybe its own people or helping others in need. I will say that I think there's a large consensus in the United States that we should be helping other people in other countries in addition to our own, and that's why we have such large programs for all kinds of things in terms of development assistance, military assistance, health assistance, you name it, and we're sort of doing it. Um, Certainly there are going to be people that criticize that, and that's fine. That's their right. They should criticize it. It's good to have a healthy debate about what U.S. taxpayer money is used for, and we should be able to defend um, the outcomes of that use of money. Um, and I think as it relates to the COVID vaccines and the donations of them, I think we saved a lot of lives here in Indonesia and other countries by doing that. So I think that was a very good thing.
I agree. This has been an amazing conversation, and now we have time for one more question. We'll take it from this side, and then we'll wrap up our discussion. Yeah, we'll do right there.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Introduce me. I am Angelica Sasmita from the President University as well. So as you mentioned before, that what diplomats do is to engage with the people in the host country, to know the country. In your case is Indonesia, right? So my question is, how does the U.S. Embassy engage with the local communities and civil society organization in Indonesia to promote cultural exchange and people-to-people ties? Is there any program or activities? So yeah, That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, another excellent question. I know that our embassy has a very robust cultural exchange program. We do a lot of events, many of them here at the Ad America Center, but we also have groups that come through, and we try to get them around the country to other places outside of Jakarta and Java, and we've had some success doing that. Um, we engage a lot with civil society organizations. As I mentioned, in terms of building relationships, we will engage basically anyone that wants to meet with us and talk about how to strengthen relations. And so we do a lot of outreach, and we try as best we can to get outside of our embassy and go meet people in other places around the country so that we have those more personal interactions. I've had a chance myself. I've been to Surabaya. I've been up to Medan where we have consulates and met with people there. You know, of course, I've gotten to travel a lot around Indonesia just on my own. And each time I've been able to do that, I've learned more about the country, had a better understanding of it when I got back home. But yeah, we have a lot of cultural exchange programs and opportunities. Again, I think if you're interested in learning more, you know, go to our embassy website to see what we have going on. I know the programming here is very robust. They're doing 2-3 programs a day here at the Ad America Center. I think all of them are available online if you're not able to physically come here. And so we hope that you all take advantage and engage with us and all the different programs that we have.
That's a great way to end this conversation. We definitely want you to visit our websites and visit us in America. Thank you guys so much for your inspirational questions and your and for Kyle for sharing your story and what you do. I know it's been great to hear that. Hopefully you guys are left being inspired. So now we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, can we have a round of applause for Jamie and also Kyle? Thank you so much, Jamie and Kyle. It has been a very insightful discussion today. It's also such a pleasure to have you guys here today. And also thank you to our audience. You guys have some wonderful questions today. And I hope that after this event, we can further strive to find more common grounds between our two countries and also to achieve our common goals for the upcoming future. And for those of you here interested in more events here in Ad America, you can visit our website and also our social medias. We have Instagram, Twitter, and also Facebook at AT America, and also our website at www.atamerica.or.id. And from there, you can check out our event schedules and also more info about Ad America. Once again, thank you so much, Jamie and Pakal, and thank you so much, everyone here, for joining us today. Again, my name is Ara, and see you soon at the next Ad America event. Thank you, everyone.
Terima kasih.